We are very fortunate in Wales that we have considerable autonomy in the delivery of maths. And whilst most schools follow the National Numeracy Strategy, we have the freedom to deliver a range of strategies in our schools that we feel will benefit our children.
In Port Talbot, how does John exercise this Welsh autonomy? Well, by matching the delivery method to the children's learning strengths. Today, John's come to monitor progress on teaching decimals, and he's asked maths guru Richard Dunn to join him as long as he plays TA and supports a group. They're in Year 4-5's hands with Pamela Morgan, class teacher. This is their 5th lesson on decimals, and they're ready to explore beyond the first decimal place.
We can think of another way of writing 1/10. Shannon, would you like to come out? Diolch ymlaen. The mathematics that we've taken on board is a very, very different way of teaching mathematics. The children are constantly engaged, and it's so physical. They actually see what they're doing. It's not abstract at all. So they have a deep understanding of the concrete before they move on to the abstract. How much have I got here? Ricky?
2/10.
Can you tell me about these tenths here? 1/10, 1/10. Kerry?
Same value, different appearance.
Diane? Is there anything here? Sam?
No.
Is there anything here? Rachel?
No,
Why don't we need 0 here then?
because there's nothing there, and you don't need to put a 0 there to show it.
1/10. You can tell me what language this is.
Introducing 0.1 and 0.10 and 0.1 as visual replacements for the vulgar fractions they were familiar with meant they could easily adopt this language.
So far, the lesson is largely reinforcement on the first decimal place, in Pamela's view, essential before anything else is introduced.
Here?
She's making sure that the children are comfortable to add and subtract. However, multiplication is still proving to be a challenge.
4/10 times 3 equals.
Equals. Here's a pile of 4/10. Here's a pile of 4/10. Here's a pile of 4/10. Who thinks they know the answer? So if you write it down on your whiteboards with your partner. Right, some of you this, and some of you have got that. Right, Richard, how much is here?
1/10.
How much is here?
2/100.
How much is here, Richard?
12/100.
12/100. And how much is here, Richard?
12/10.
Right, can you have a look at your answer and have a think about it? What have you got written down, Richard?
12/100.
And what are we looking for?
12/10.
Time to move on, but the bridge to hundredths has to be concrete and visual.
You can tell me, how much is here? How much is here?
9/10.
9/10. How much is here? How much is here? Martian?
90/100.
90/100. Diane? What can you tell me about 9/10 and 90/100? Josh, think. What can you tell me about 9/10 and 90/100?
Same value, different appearance.
Diane? They're the same value, but they're a different appearance. Gyda'r partner, can you look at your circles, please? And can you find 24 hundredths? Find them on your circle and then write them on your whiteboards, please. to reinforce the understanding that 9/10ths is the same value as 90 hundredths is essential for them to move on. Once they understand that, they can move on to understand the different values of the hundredths and thousandths.
2.
2. How much is there here, Sam?
3/10ths.
How much is there here, Sam?
4/100ths.
How much is there here, Sam?
5/1000ths.
Diane. How much is there here, David?
45/1000ths.
Diane. How much is there here, David?
34/100ths.
Caius. How much is there here?
23/10ths.
Diane. And how much is here, Caius?
234/100ths.
Diane. And Stephen, right at the back. You're saving this one for you. How much is here, Stephen?
2,345/1000ths.
Diane. I'm not going to say the number. I want you all to write it down accurately. And with your partner, please ask, how much is here? How much is here? Remember, what are we looking for? What are we looking for when we do this?
Correct vocabulary.
Correct vocabulary, Rachel?
Correct number formation.
Anybody else? So they're using the vocabulary in a different way. It's reinforcing how much is here, how many, how much is here. So they're looking at the different values. It's constantly reinforcing and consolidating information that they're receiving.
How much is here? 31/10ths. How much is here?
313/100ths.
How much is here?
3,135,000ths.
There's been spectacular progress so far. Richard and John look a bit concerned about their group work. These are certainly challenging for any Year 4.
Right, we're going to work in our groups now to do these sums.
2, 3.
These are their mathematics groups. They're mixed ability and they have different roles within the group. We have a mentor whose role is to supervise the activity, to listen carefully to the vocabulary that's being used. You have the scribe then that actually writes down what the other children tell them. And then you have the thinkers. They're all thinkers, but these two thinkers have a specific role.
100ths and 900ths equals 10/100ths. Where are you going to put the
1 underneath.
the 10?
Good boy.
6/10ths and 3/10ths and 1/10 equals 10/10.
I was remarkably surprised by the way the children worked, their attitude, and more importantly, the level of understanding they seemed to grasp, saying the numbers constantly to one another, so they were familiar all the time in the recognition of the tenths, hundredths and thousands. That came through very strongly. You did really well, because that's a lot more difficult than I first read them, because you have to carry the figures across, haven't you? So well done.
Richard spotted a mathematical equal in Rachel and has the ultimate problem up his sleeve, taking a bigger number from a smaller one, but with thousandths. 5,000ths from 2,000ths.
362,000ths. Take away 125,000ths. 2,000ths. Take away 5,000ths.
3,000.
No. It's not 5,000ths. Take away 2,000ths. 2,000ths. Take away 5,000ths. We've done it before. With whole numbers. Do you remember what to do?
Yeah, it's funny counting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's called funny counting. What's that? And just take that off and make it a 5, and then you add it like that. Put that little thing like that. 12 thousandths. Take away 5 thousandths. 7 thousandths.
It meant it was able to suddenly realise that she had to draw upon early work with what they called funny counting. They had practiced that with whole numbers. Now that is the important thing, as these children were drawing on previous learning, and that is exactly what the curriculum is about.
3 tenths subtract 1 tenth equals 2 tenths.
Good. All together then. How much is there here?
2 tenths.
How much is there here?
3 hundredths.
How much is there here?
7
Good.
thousandths.
And how much is there here?
12 thousandths.
Put the zeros there.
It's not just the mathematics that's groundbreaking for Year 4-5. Pamela's emphasis on assessment for learning has helped the groups stay focused
One
too.
scribe and one to explain.
My group can do sums with gritties.
Right.
The answers are all correct and they've worked exceptionally well.
Oh, da iawn. A Richard, sefwch. Any feedback about your group?
Our scribe is working well, spacing out work and using a ruler to draw lines. They're using the right procedure to work out the sums.
Oh, da iawn. Rachel, sefwch.
They remembered the funny counting and
Oh, right, yes.
how to give a hundredth to the thousandths. And they're pausing between 6 hundredths and things like that.
Right, would anybody like to tell us what they thought went well about this afternoon? About the lesson? Stephen, you got something to say?
I enjoy working in groups because if you look at other people's work and you're judging other people's work, it helps you with your work to see the mistakes you might be making.
Well done. Give yourselves a really, really big clap.
I mean, I think the structure of the lesson was extremely important into getting the children's understanding. I mean, there was a good mix of concrete operations. The children could see quite physically how the tenths came together and what they were called. I think the fact that they were given quite clear success criteria, it enabled the children to look for the specific points, such as putting the decimal in the right place, saying the numbers constantly to one another. So that helped the children's mathematics ability and also the assessment for learning element of it as well.
They scaffold each other and they support each other, and it's always work that they've done as a class or we've done together, and they're just moving on from there. They're developing a very independent sort of way of working as they're developing their skills of thinking for themselves and discussing and working out and building on the information that they already have. And I've noticed a real difference in the quality of their written work in their books as well since I've been working like this. You know, it's just an ordinary catchment area and just an ordinary school.